Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Story to Screen podcast, movie podcast where we review all different kinds of movies, new and old. I'm your host, Chris, and, well, joining me tonight is my good old friend and comrade in arms is Benjamin Curlee.
Hi!
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, as you could see right there, he was playing Pokemon Go. Was there any Pikachus or Mewtwo's or whatever in the?
No, nothing close enough by.
Nuts. See, that's what I'm telling you. You shouldn't be playing on your phone while we're podcasting and playing Pokemon Go. Shouldn't be doing that, man. Shouldn't be doing that at all. I'm sorry. Which, by the way, on this podcast we have not talked about Pokemon Go. I know it's been like big since July, and we have not even mentioned it since then. But have you played it? I have not played it at all.
I have. I downloaded it just to see because it was a kind of a novelty. It was a really unique idea, so I decided to download it, give it a try. But,
and
well, it's got a long ways to go, but there's some serious potential for that type of game.
Oh, okay. So it's not really fully formed, is what you're saying.
It's really cutting edge. They're doing a pretty good job with it. I just can't wait until other app developers jump on and create other types of games using the same technology.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I just know for a fact that every time I've jogged, like, close to the pier around here, or anytime I've jogged in the neighborhood or like in Fairhope, downtown Fairhope, some kid will be walking around, or somebody will be playing that game, and I'm like, they're not even watching where they're going. Like, heck, even the person in a car I would see would be driving, he's like, I just got Pikachu, I just got Jigglypuff, and then they crash into a tree. So, word of advice, audience: don't play Pokemon Go while driving, while kissing your girlfriend in the park, because she might get jealous, and any other things where your attention should be. Just saying. That's it. That's all I'm going to say right now. So, anyway, folks, this is our 97th episode of Story to Screen, and tonight's movie review is the classic Sabrina.
There's no doubt about it, they're having a ball, and you're all invited. Humphrey Bogart and William Holden as the two wealthiest brothers in America, and captivating Audrey Hepburn as Sabrina, the chauffeur's daughter, who ran away to Paris to learn about life, and came back home to live it in a great big way.
It's Sabrina. Isn't it amazing? Would you have recognized her? How do you like those legs now?
David.
Aren't they something?
David. The last pair of legs that was something cost the family $25,000.
Bill Holden stands his engagement party on its ear when he shows up with Sabrina instead of his fiancée.
Oh, Sabrina, where have you been all my life?
Right over the garage.
And when Humphrey Bogart kisses her in the moonlight, look what happens to him.
It's all in the family.
She's got them both in a spin, but only one can win. And even the board of directors can't head off the explosion when these two meet head on.
Now, how about that, gentlemen?
That's enough, David.
Well, I thought it was common knowledge about you and Sabrina.
what you just heard was the original trailer for Sabrina. It's from 1954. It's directed by Billy Wilder. Many of you may know him as the director of movies of things such as Some Like It Hot, Style Like 17, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, I believe. So we'll look into his career a little bit further. It also stars iconic movie legends such as Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart, and William Holden. So anyway, Ben, this is a big, memorable classic amongst women. You know, I mean, when people are watching this video, there's no females, as they can see. You know, it's just two guys talking about a chick flick. And in the past, you and I have done a chick flick together, actually. Yes, I think just the one, and that was Mom's Night Out. So I wanted to do something kind of different, and we have kind of gone out of our way to do different types of movies. Again, all different kinds of movies, new and old.
And we hit 2 of those on this one.
Yes. So what's been your relationship with this film, and what do you think of it?
Well, I watched this film earlier, thinking that it was going to be the first time that I've seen this film. I remember seeing the remake with Harrison Ford a few years ago. But this one, I thought this was going to be the first time I saw it. But then that famous and very recognizable song, Yes, We Have No Bananas, came on. And I immediately recognized that. It's like, I know that song. And I remember hearing it in a movie. I must have seen this movie growing up at some point. Yeah, so that's about it. So I guess I've seen it twice in my life. It's a fun movie. It's an interesting attempt at romantic comedy. You can see it tries to play things as funny, but it just, I don't know, it's not as fleshed out as your more modern romantic comedy, in my opinion.
Okay. We can go into further details about that as soon as I get into my impressions. Look, I am a fan of screwball comedies. We have not had, that doesn't exist anymore in modern movies, the screwball comedies or anything like that. It's more so the vulgar comedies. I hate to use that. Or just, what is that, like, what was that hamburger movie? What is it? Sausage Party. That's what you're going to get. Like, that's the type of comedy that you're going to get nowadays. Or something else. That's just the only one that pops up on mine recently. But, or Moms, no, not Moms Night Out, Bad Moms, or something like that. I don't know. But
yeah, very, very crass.
Very crass. And it goes over the top with its content. Like, it's going to be very graphic or, just very, very straightforward. But no, I love this movie. Again, talking, two guys talking about chick flicks. This is one of those movies that I think, even if you're not like, a classic film lover, I think this is something that even guys can actually kind of appreciate. Like, especially if you're in kind of that romantic mood, maybe. But it's like, hey, I want to watch something with my girlfriend. This is something that I would say, pop this in, watch with your girlfriend, and just enjoy it. I love Audrey Hepburn. I'm a huge Audrey Hepburn fan. I have that woman, not only just one of the most beautiful women in the world, just one of the finest actresses ever to be brought out of Hollywood. Like, just ever. I mean, what her contribution to film, this My Fair Lady, Charade, Roman Holiday, Breakfast at Tiffany's, just so many iconic movies. And, Sabrina, this is like one of the best examples of just simple romantic comedies. It's nothing, it's like, it's kind of like a twisted version of the the famous quote, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. It's kind of a twisted version of that. Like, girl loses the guy, she comes back, gets the boy kind of slightly for a couple hours, and then she loses him, and then she falls. It's kind of a mishmash version of that whole notion or of that formula,
Mm-hmm.
which I've kind of liked. I mean, I do rank this up there with like bringing up Baby. What are some other great romantic? Bringing Up Baby. What's Up, Doc? Just so many great romantic comedies. I mean, this is just one of the best, and it's just so beautiful. It's just like, I mean, the fashion. I'm not a fashion guy, but I mean, the costumes are great. I mean, at least Audrey Hepburn's costume, and just the story, and surprisingly, just the simplicity and the chemistry that Audrey Hepburn has with her leading men. I mean, so those are some reasons why I really love this movie. Just the Audrey Hepburn factor is like, I'll watch her in anything she does. So give me a movie with Audrey Hepburn, watch it any day. But yeah, kind of going back to what you said, Ben. I mean, what did you mean like by attempt at a romantic comedy? Did you think it didn't stick too well with the formula?
Well, okay. See, for me, it was playing at situations that, in my mind, echoed things that are very tragic, very sad. We have this young girl who has her first crush, and she obsesses over him, and to the point that she really guides her whole life around this man who doesn't love her back, and that's a tragedy, in my opinion. And because the film treats that with a half-serious tone, it kind of overshadows or creeps into the comedic aspect, in my opinion. I wasn't able to laugh at the comedy as much because in the back of my mind, I was thinking at the same time, it's just really sad. This poor girl, she's really lost.
Yeah,
looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the things I like about this movie is that it's kind of asking the question, what is love? What is it? Is it? And I don't think this movie does fully answer it because it's not a movie about that. It's not like other movies, for example, that have explored that theme, like Vanilla Sky or something like that, about that kind of view what is love, what is the deeper meaning of it. This is kind of more like obsessional love. I guess it isn't really more about romantic love or anything like that. It's a very, it's kind of a very false depiction at love, but. This is the old Hollywood style. People didn't want to see about the psychological aspect of what love is and all that stuff.
It's not a Hitchcock film.
No. And so, and I like that I like it for that reason, for the simplicity of it. And again, it's more constructed. That theme is more so constructed in episodic kind of situations than anything else. It isn't really interested in answering what exactly is love. It's more about two people just coming together, but what I like about, does she really does Audrey Hepburn's character, Sabrina, truly love William Holden, or is she more so obsessed with him, and that kind of, and then leading into her interest for Humphrey Bogart, you kind of left to question, was her love for William Holden genuine to begin with?
Well, I don't think it was. And I think it also makes you question whether or not her love for Humphrey Bogart's character, what was his name? Linus?
Yeah, Linus.
It in my opinion, it makes you question whether or not she genuinely loves him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very superficial. It's just like, skim over it, don't question it, just go for the ride, I mean, the circumstances is basically this. You have this young, you have Sabrina who falls in love, who's madly in love with David Larrabee, who is part of this huge corporation that funds and it's just a huge enterprise that does so many different things. And, she goes away to to cooking school, and then she comes back, and then she's recognized by William Holden, who's previously ignored her. And then he's falling madly in love with her and all that. And So she begins to develop a relationship with Bogart, and it kind of springs from that. But in the meantime, it's, Bogart's trying to set up David into this marriage with this other major corporation. So that's kind of the whiff of the plot right there. So, when I look at like Holden, David, for example, I am kind of left wondering, is he just obsessed with her? Is he just having the same romantic feelings that he had, like with the girl at the very beginning of the movie, or is it just like a playful type of love? It's like it's disposable, and that's what I get, and that's the kind of feeling that I get from her, from him specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what are some of your thoughts on that? I mean, like the relationship between her, the Holden character, and the Bogart character. I mean,
I know I would agree with your assessment. I do think that David was he was out for another fling. He didn't really care about her at all. She's the one who's difficult to read. Does she really love David, or is it just an extreme crush that she's had for years?
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that it's just a crush.
Yeah.
But her crush looks so similar when she begins to change her view and start falling for Linus, Humphrey's character. That it makes me question: was that love even genuine? Does she know how to properly love?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question that I think the film posed unintentionally and didn't answer for me.
Yeah, especially in this
now,
day.
When it comes to Humphrey's character, he definitely fell for her, no doubt about it. He loved.
Yeah, I do buy his romantic interest for her, because there's that beautiful scene, like when they're, the whole banana song and all that, and she begins to, she plays that one song, and then I don't think the movie really explores it fully. It's kind of left a little bit more ambiguous, but you get the sense that maybe he was married. He probably had this huge, relationship with someone else that we don't really quite know what happened to her,
Mm-hmm.
So I think what I like about the casting of Bogart, and we can talk now about Bogart. What I like about his character is that he's playing the whole tough guy persona, somewhat. The kind of the tough guy persona that we've come to know from movies such as the Maltese Falcon, Casablanca, the Treasure of Sierra Madre. He's playing that tough guy exterior, but with a certain subtlety to it. But there's still a brokenness to him, and I see that in that scene between him and Audrey Hepburn when she begins to question him and kind of talk about some women of the past. He's a very sad, very torn up man who at the same time is trying to manipulate the situation to his own advantage. But no, I mean, let's talk about Bogart real quickly. I mean, like, I really love Bogart. I have been a huge fan of Humphrey Bogart. Seen him in all, the great gangster movies. And I love that little homage with the gun when he's in there with William Holden. They're meeting and they're going over that special plastic made out of candy cane or fiber. It was made out of candy cane or something like that, and he holds the gun. But he's holding it in a way that's like that image, that gangster image, that you've come to associate, and that's the only time you see that. But what did you think of Bogey, as people like to call him?
I think he did a superb job. There was definitely depth to his character, and I have to admit I have actually not seen him in that much. The only things that come to the top of my head is this film and Casablanca. I know he's in a whole slew of other things, but I can't recall at the moment what else I might have seen him in.
A lot of gangsters. If you check out Maltese Falcon and Treasure of Sierra Madre, because those are the two, and just check out what was that movie? The Black Sleep. Some really great little gangster. Just check out all of his gangster movies. If nothing more, check out all that stuff. He is great. He's a tremendous presence, and You know what? It's funny. I've always had an issue with the fact that Audrey Hepburn is actually playing, like, she's actually, what is it, 20 years old at this point in time when she made this movie. Humphrey Bogart is like at least 50 or 60 years old. I've always that's one of my biggest things with like the early career of Hepburn, because she was always paired with men who were twice her age. Poor girl. I mean, it's like, I always kind of feel like it's always a weird, because I can tell, you know, he's a much older man than her, and he's beginning to have romantic feelings for her, and it's just weird. But the fact that it's Humphrey Bogart, and he's being so great in the role, it just works. You know, it oddly enough works despite the age gap between them. Was that something that bothered you at all, or not really?
It did not bother me. It was noticeable, but it did not bother me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what did you think of the chemistry too between them? I thought they were, well, both the chemistry between her and Holden that they had.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem like it had any depth to it.
No, I mean it was fine. I mean it's movie stars. You know, that's what you're kind of buying into. It's just the personas that you know these actors and all that stuff. You know, so you're not really left questioning chemistry and all that stuff like today. You know, people are like questioning like, oh, you know, is so and so going to have chemistry with so and so in this movie?
Yeah, it's like no, we just kind of accept that, you know, for that time period. It's like they're paired, okay, you know, in the story.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you know, William Holden. I mean, another great actor in his own right too. I mean, you know, I love just that he's just such a child. You know, he goes from playing the tough guy from like Stalag 17, which is a great movie, and you know, and then, you know, of course, you know, he does like movies like The Wild Bunch and all that other great stuff. But it's so wonderful to see William Holden like playing against another one where he's playing against type. You know, he's playing. I mean, he's played the romantic lead, but he's such a child. That's the funny part of it. You don't associate William Holden with that kind of image. You know, he's always been a straight leading man, but here he's such a child, and you get that like in his first scene. Like he's there sitting at the chair, and you know that this guy is a jerk. You know, you know that from the very beginning, and but no, I like this cast. It's a really well casted film, and I don't really have much of a problem with the cast at all. No. Not at all. What were some other things about this movie that kind of stood out to you? What was something about it that stood out to you?
Not too much. I mean, I enjoyed the pacing. It was nice and slow and thought out for each scene. I can't think of anything that was too slow.
No.
Like there was a purpose to each scene. I quite sarcasm here. I quite enjoyed how we are expected to read someone else's handwriting. You know, instead of I'm very happy that in the modern age we like to do voiceovers of someone talking while they're writing something out instead of us having to read it. Because I don't know, I just cannot read anything that's that close to cursive. I know that was not actually cursive, and I was able to make it out, but it's just
I'd
rather not have to read it.
Yeah.
I'd rather just be told.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. That's something common practice back then in Hollywood. They would always, instead of doing...
Yeah, no, it really is. Yeah.
Unless it's like film noir where it's like somebody doing voice narration, you pretty much, when someone's writing a letter, you're going to see the whole letter being written, you know, so...
yeah.
But
Tell you what, though, they had some superb handwriting.
Yeah. The thing, though, that kind of shocked me about... well, I mean, going back to that scene with the letter, the attempt at suicide. I mean, if you know, again, I kind of think that is obsession. You know, yes, it's heartbreaking when you see somebody else not giving you any attention and all that stuff, but the fact that you want to commit suicide. I mean, look, I understand there are some people out there who just can't find love. But when you're just obsessed over one guy, and that's the end of the world, and you're going to you're going to take your life just because that one person isn't giving you the attention that you want, that's not really love. That's, again, as we've said before, that's obsession, not romantic. That's not true, genuine love or anything like that at all. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that whole thing. But one thing I want to comment on Audrey Hepburn, because this movie is very much a style. It's very much like it really brings attention to the style, whether it's in the costumes or just in the setting. But what I like about Audrey Hepburn is that she, like you see her in those first scenes, like as a, when she's younger or when she's like very early in the film. You buy into the fact that she looks gorgeous, but she looks plain. But
she looks like 15 to 17, yeah.
But not just that, but she looks stunning, even for someone that's in plain clothing. I mean, Audrey Hepburn can make any style work to her advantage, and she's just she looks great. She looks so great in those costumes. I mean, like when she's in the simple stuff, she looks great, and even like the stuff in Paris, when she's wearing all the. That's funny when that one guy that guy tells her get rid of the ponytail. I think a girl nowadays would be very much insulted by that. No. He calls her a horse. Yeah, he calls her a horse, not the ponytail, but yeah. And then when she comes back, oh my gosh, huge transition. She looks so much older. I mean, they shot this movie in like 7 weeks, but she looks stunning. And Edith Head, who's a classic, who's one of the greatest costume designers ever. The fact that she designed Audrey Hepburn's clothes, I mean, she looks stunning. I mean, should we talk about fashion on Story to Screen? I mean, let's go for it. I mean, she looks absolutely stunning. What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I don't have much to offer. I'm a man of very, very simple tastes when it comes to like that. I get away with the same jeans, the same shirt for days. So I find a look and I stick with it.
I'm a t-shirt guy. Short pants. But no, I mean, I love like looking at fashion, especially like women's fashion, like dresses and all that stuff. And no, I'm not a pervert, you idiots. It's like people will be like, "You like women's fashion? That makes you a homosexual." No, I just like looking at the designs. Big difference. But no, she looks, and then the fact that her party dress, her arrival at home. Oh, the scene when she arrives home, and then William Holden is like, "Who is that?" He turns around. Yeah, that's he's not. That's just like, oh yeah, the new girl in town, and European too, so that's gonna have some major points right there too. But I love just the fact that he arrives at the train station and he's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't even recognize her. He's just looking at the exterior and he's just admiring all of that. He's just flirting, and then the fact that, really, it just shows you how much of a jerk he is. He's like there at the party, he's dancing with his future fiance, and she's like, and then he's like, what is it? What was it again? Oh, he's like, Sabrina, where have you been all my life? You haven't.
Exactly. See, and that's what bugged me about this film, that it would take such serious topics and attempt to make a joke out of it. And it just was falling flat for me.
Okay. I mean, is there like any are there any like real life situations that you can think of that people have went through that before that you know of, or just like in life in general?
No, but it just
it's a very delicate subject,
It is. Yeah. It is, and they found this awkward middle ground where it plays itself serious enough that it feels like a drama. Mm-hmm. But then they throw in these scenarios that if it wasn't a comedy, it would be serious indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and then, kind of going forward with, like, the Bogart and Audrey Hepburn relationship, or Linus and Sabrina, after David has his... Here's something that I want to bring up. For a 1950s film, I'm actually kind of shocked that they were able to get away with something like that. The whole Petunias getting smashed with the glass and all that.
Yeah.
Is it that hard to kind of believe that they got away with something? Or not really. I mean, they didn't...
Not that much. What was it, 54? Yeah, 1954. No, I'm not too surprised.
Yeah.
Because they show nothing.
They didn't throw a lot of like rear end jokes. They weren't saying they didn't throw a lot of that stuff out there. But that was funny. But and I actually do like, my favorite parts are actually that part and the servants when they're reading the letters and all that stuff, and when they're asking like, oh, that one servant's asking like, what do you think? What did she say anything about David? And and
it's like, that's good. Oh, and then that's bad.
Oh yeah, there's that part where it's like, what was it again? They're like saying like, oh, that's good. Oh, and it was like everybody would say the opposite one way or another. It would go one way or the other. Like, oh, that's good.
And it's moments like that the comedy was really good. It was.
Yeah, the comedy is very crisp in this one, and of course you got Billy Wilder, so and he's a guy that I've seen. I have not seen a lot of his films, but I do know of the acclaim ground that he is. Some Like It Hot, Still Like 17, just the different types of films that he's done throughout his career it's pretty impressive. But kind of going back to Bogart and the Audrey Hepburn relationship, I do find after they've gone sailing. And, he's trying to... I don't really... You know what? Watching this movie again, after the scene with him and Bogart are kind of... they have that argue when he's in the closet and he's dressing and he's trying to get back into his youth, so to speak. He's trying to be that romantic kind of person, but he's still trying to lead the situation towards his personal goal. I'm trying to... I never get the sense that he's being maliciously deceptive at all. Like, I don't get... I mean, he does come out clean, but at no point in time do I feel like...
No, he never intends to deeply hurt her. He operates under the assumption that she'll be disappointed, but she'll move on.
But I think his final goal is David. He wants to get David onto that ship and all that stuff. He still thinks that she may want him or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, in the end there.
Yeah, at the end there. And I'm trying to figure out, from my point of view, when does he begin to fall in love with her? I'm still trying to place that scene. Is it kind of... Well, I think it's there maybe like at the apartment scene when she's making him dinner and all that stuff. But by the way, Audrey Hepburn looks great in that black tights right there. Yeah. Sorry.
But you can really see, because she actually suffered from anorexia because of I believe she immigrated, and because of the war, World War II, her family never had enough to eat, so she suffered with anorexia.
Yeah,
for pretty much the rest of her life because of that.
Yeah, and that's why that kind of really,
Yeah, she's got a very thin frame.
Yeah, very narrow frame. Really came from that. So it wasn't really like a natural beauty type of look. It was more so it came from a sickness, basically. It came from some really horrible circumstances. I don't know if she could ever try to improve on that. I don't know if that was... Or she kept that look. I don't know. I don't look into that. But no, what I like, I think that maybe thinking about it now, I think that's probably the scene when he begins to fall in love with her, or maybe he's more so attracted to her. I mean, do you see the point when he finally falls for her?
I could see that, or at least where he admits that he cares what happens to her. He cares about her feelings and whether or not she gets hurt.
Yeah. Oh, and I do. Well, speaking of getting hurt, I do love that the father, who's the chauffeur, and he wants the best for his daughter and all that stuff, but he's kind of telling her, don't have your head in the stars. It's come down to earth. Don't reach for the moon. It's just impossible to reach. But I like how there's kind of a subtle confrontation, with him and Bogart in the car, and he asks him, what are your intentions towards my daughter? And Bogart is like, intentions? I'm not. So he hasn't he hasn't really fallen in love with her. He's just trying to treat her to a good time while David is indisposed. But I actually like that for a person who's actually underneath him, that he's kind of questioning him. It's like,
Yeah.
I did like that, and I think that's something that naturally a father would do, despite the circumstances. What?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. But he's not rude. There's none of that. He's still respecting him, and even Bogart, who could instantly fire him, is respecting him as well. So I like those. I like that for that reason. I think there's one. I think there's the ending. Now you've seen the remake, the Harrison Ford remake. How does that one differ from this one? Does it pretty much follow it beat by beat?
I'm trying to recall. It starts out very, very similar.
Okay.
And basically the occupations and everything very similar. I mean, it even includes the scene where he's shooting at the glass. I don't recall now. I want to say last scene is at a wedding or something like that, but I'm not. Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, I'll need to check that one out. I actually do want to see that one and see how that one kind of compares. But I guess we'll talk about the ending a little bit. I mean, it's I like how it just shows you that David is a huge scum. He used her. He definitely used her.
Yeah.
Or now. Do you think he realized? Well, yeah, he doesn't love her. I mean, the fact that he was willing to twist Bogart.
He took advantage of the fact that she loved him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to run with that as far as he could, and then when it fizzled out, it fizzled out.
Yeah, and the thing is that Audrey Hepburn is not even considering that. She's not even looking at that fact that he's had many affairs, he's had marriages that have failed. What makes it think that this one's going to be any different with this type of guy? So that's the bigger. I think that's kind of the bigger, not necessarily the bigger question, but kind of the blindness that she thinks is love. That what she thinks, she's blinded by the fact that this man is no good for her. And that Linus, Linus is the true genuine type of man that you would want to have, somewhat. I don't know if a 20-year-old would want to get with Bogart, but but no. What I like about the ending is that Bogart kind of that Holden has the upper hand. He twisted it enough to where he reveals like you truly do love her. And I did like it when Bogart finally hits him, and he goes,
yeah, it's like, about time.
About time. Another kind of image to the Bogart, tough guy type of leading, tough guy image, but no, I do love, the ending, and it's very sweet. It's they're going off into the sunset. It's kind of romantic. Yeah, it works, and it's a very subtle ending. I mean, I've heard a lot of people complain that they don't kiss at the end, and the whole that he it's just an embrace. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
it doesn't bug me at all. I mean, what did you think of the ending? Like both the ending, the actual ending, but also leading up to it. Like the resolution with the between the brothers and Sabrina.
No, I thought it was. It was the best ending that it could have had, considering how they structured and laid the story out. And I think I liked the ending. I thought it was very cute.
Mm-hmm.
It was bringing back in the comedy a little bit. I think it was well done.
Okay. Well then, I don't think there's really that much to talk about this film. I mean, Billy Wilder, I do give him a lot of credit for the direction and the writing, and the writing is it's very humorous. And again, I think it's a movie. Again, I recommend it as a date movie or something like that. If you have a couple hours with your girlfriend, just say, hey, let's watch something together, and then.
Oh yeah, it's a perfectly clean friendly film.
Family.
Well, okay, I take that back. It does bring forward topics such as suicide.
Yeah.
That younger audiences, you probably don't want to introduce them to that concept, especially when it's so lightly handled.
Mm-hmm. But I think there's definitely great discussion points to be had here. Even if you do introduce it to someone younger, I think there's still some great discussion points to be had with it. And I think that's a great quality about the film, is that maybe it doesn't present it in a perfect way, especially for us as Christians, who do understand, the true, and you're married, you know the challenges and of love and the hardships and the true value of love, so, and for me, love has its tests, it has its moments, things don't work out, but move on, things may not work out the way that you hope. Move on. There's still more out there to be enjoyed. Don't necessarily feel like something doesn't work out, that's the end of the world. Life is just. I think that's a good thing I would like to end this note on, is that we are. God gave us a life that is to be lived. We're to try to live it for His glory, but there is so much to life that we can enjoy in a good way. There's so many things that God gave us on this earth to enjoy. Yes, love, it's something that it's precious, it's something that's pure and beautiful, but it takes time. It takes time between between two people, especially if they're coming together, for the right reasons. If they're falling in love for the right reasons, that's a great thing. And that's how I kind of want to end this show on, so but anyway, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up with our final thoughts on Sabrina. So Ben, final thoughts on Sabrina.
It is definitely a classic film. See it if you can. It's a fun ride.
Yes, same here. Good recommend. I recommend it for young boys and young girls and young adults too. It's like great date movie. It's a great little date movie, especially like on a rainy Sunday or something like that, or Saturday. Put it in, watch it. Have your girlfriend over for a Friday night. I'll probably show this to my girlfriend. If she doesn't know anything about Audrey Hepburn, I'll probably say, hey, you know what? You might like this. I'll definitely sit you down.
You're not going to be like, you don't know Audrey Hepburn? Get out.
No. I won't even say she says, oh, I don't know Audrey Hepburn. You're going to hear this huge, wham. And you're going to see, debris of, of building tops and all that. So, and no, I'm not going to get that violent. I'm not that powerful, but, sorry, ladies. I'm probably scaring you away right now. So I'm the bachelor on this show. Well, Ian and I are bachelors. So anyway, so yes, I give Sabrina a huge recommend on my part. So anyway, folks, that's going to wrap it up for our 97th episode of Story to Screen. We are almost there to 100. I know I said last time we were going to try to announce something, but we're keep tight, folks. We're going to be announcing something very, very soon. So keep tight. It's coming. So, and we'll find ways for you to participate. So that's going to be an exciting time. So keep an eye out, folks. So Ben, where can people find more of your work?
Okay, so I've recently rebranded a little bit. I don't have the website running yet, but you can find me at facebook.com/StillAwakeStudio. That's where I'm putting up a lot of my work, and I'm combining it with my wife and her work. And so it's kind of a joint venture, as it were.
Yes. I've seen some of the stuff, Ben. It looks great, some of the film shots that you've done. So please check it out, everybody. He's definitely done a great job with that stuff. Also, I want to say again, I know I announced it last week, but I just want to say again, Story to Screen is going to be helping out, or at least I will, but, I definitely want to use the Story to Screen brand, but we'll be helping out with the Fairhope Film Festival, which will begin in November. So I'm going to be helping them doing some advertisement work on this show and on our podcast page. So keep an eye on it. If you listeners are in the local Alabama area, please drop on by. They're going to be having some great films this year. So I highly recommend that as well. Also, folks, please follow us on Twitter, iTunes, and on Facebook. We are now officially on Stitcher, so you can check us out on there as well. Download the Stitcher app and find our show. Please leave us a review on iTunes. We can definitely use a lot more reviews. And that's going to wrap up for this episode of Story to Screen. So, on behalf of Ben, I am your host, Chris. Everyone have a good night. Cheers.
Bye.
All right, Ben, you can go back and play Pokemon Pro, or Go.